going on? Bar Down Breakdown, the live stream edition. And we are hanging with our homie, Jared Cove from Last Disaster, rocking the best version of the Florida Panthers jersey that ever existed.
It's the GOAT.
What's up, Jared?
Yes, sir. You know it. I'm not even a Cats fan particularly, but this is a game-worn Pavel Bure jersey from the year he wore the C. So it's signed on the back. I don't know if it'll show here, but got a little Pavel. That scribble, you're just gonna have to trust me, is Pavel Bure's signature. So yeah,
It's actually Randy Jackson's.
I would love to see them go back to these jerseys, but I don't know. I don't know how likely it is now that they won a championship with one.
Dude, it's beautiful. I love that version. I think that like the 90s version of most teams was the best logos and just color schemes and everything.
Oh, for sure.
So
For sure.
And your Habs, man. You're sitting in a wild card spot the last time I looked.
Yeah, man, they're looking good. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much because I think there's still some pieces missing from what will hopefully be a competitive Habs team very soon. But I think this year is probably a little ambitious. That being said, they're getting great season. They're getting a great season from both Nick Suzuki, Caulfield. Slav is a little slow. Slavkovsky's a little slow, but I think he's still kind of growing into his big body. There's a lot to be excited about. It's probably the most excited I've ever been as a Habs fan, other than maybe when they were in the finals.
Amen, man. Well, we have kind of abandoned the hockey talk just because, truthfully, the Islanders just make me miserable. And signing Tony DeAngelo today.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what are they thinking, dude? Oh my God, welcome to Trump's America, huh?
Oh man, like Lou Lamoriello, come on, dude, read the room. But
I can't see Tony DeAngelo being a Lou Lamoriello guy. I mean, he's not exactly a buttoned up type of personality. He causes issues. I would be shocked if it works out, but maybe he's learned his lesson playing in the KHL. Who knows? It's definitely something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on as a hockey fan.
Well, Justin was. I don't know if Justin's just messing with me or
I was fucking with you.
Are you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was 100%. So, Jared, I don't know how closely you follow professional wrestling, but in the I guess it's just a third brand now. It used to be the development brand, but on the NXT, the North American champion is named, like, the wrestler name is Tony DeAngelo.
Oh, no way.
So Mikey put it in the chat today, and I go, bro, the NXT North American champion just got signed to the Islanders, and Mikey was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So I took a screenshot of Tony DeAngelo, the wrestler, with the belt on, and I sent it to Mikey, and Mikey was like, "Get out of here!"
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's so funny. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Tony DeAngelos in the world, but
absolutely.
But yeah, that's a funny one for sure. I like that.
I feel like there's a lot of Tony DeAngelos just on Long Island.
I bet you that Tony DeAngelo, the wrestler, is probably better for the locker room, for the Islanders locker room than Tony DeAngelo, the offensive defenseman. So
I don't know, man. He runs the NXT Mafia, so
yeah. Oh, true. Who knows? Yeah. Of
course,
course he does. That's kind of messed up. Oh man, that's funny.
It's wrestling, man. You got to go with the stereotypes. Sometimes you just gotta run with it and hit the ground running. But that's why he's in NXT. He's trying to figure out another gimmick besides the gangster look.
Yeah, playing into the low hanging fruit, I guess.
It's so funny though. Sometimes he'll be like, "Hey, yo, Tony, someone's at the restaurant for you," and he'll just like go up and it's like a restaurant scene, and you're just like, "What's going on?" And you just see some guy eating spaghetti, like, "Hey, Tony, I want to challenge you for your title," and you're like, "Is this the bad rendition of The Godfather?" But
right, or The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, I hope you enjoyed your 3 minutes of wrestling talk for the entire year of
Yeah.
2025. You just got it all out of your system.
Get it
And
out,
Tom
dude.
did-
If Tom was here, it would have been an hour.
Right on.
At least you got it over with, and now I don't have to deal with it for the rest of 2025.
See, I'm good to go now.
Amen. Well, Jared, before we jump into some new music, I know that you had some last disaster rehearsals today. So, what is Last Disaster cooking up?
Yeah, dude, Mikey, thanks for bringing that up. I'm actually we're hopping on a show that's going down at this local spot called Grimm's. It's a really cool spot in South Florida. It's a show being hosted by Above Death Booking, and I'm really stoked. This band from Staten Island, actually, from your neck of the woods in New York, at least as far as the Islanders talk goes. This band from Staten Island called Jigsaw Youth is on tour, and we're going to be opening up for them along with a bunch of amazing local bands. Palomino Blonde is a band that the lineup as well, and we've been playing. Last Disaster hasn't played too many shows with Palomino Blonde, if any, but they've been a staple in the scene for quite some time. A bunch of other bands that I'm really, really excited to be playing with. So that's going to be Saturday night, tomorrow night at Grimm's, and anybody that is in the area should definitely pull up. It's going to be a fun night.
Hell yeah! And then your other project, Sick Enough, I saw has a pretty sweet show at like Man Overboard, or like at least was it Zach from Man Overboard?
That's right. Yeah. I'm really excited. We're playing a couple of shows actually with him, and I'm very, very grateful to be sharing the stage with an artist like Zach from Man Overboard. I mean, I remember seeing Man Overboard with I think it was The Story So Far and The Word Alive, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mixing up a couple of shows into one, but this was back at the Talent Farm. I'm pretty sure that was the tour lineup that I saw them way back when. And I was a kid. I was in high school, and it's one of the most formative memories I have of seeing a bigger touring band way back then. And I've seen them a couple times since, but I've never played with Man Overboard. And especially now, so many years later, I think this is the closest I'll ever get to playing with the full band version of Man Overboard. But it's a pretty special experience regardless, especially when you consider one of their most pop-in songs, or most classic songs, that is that acoustic, Love Friends Die Laughing. It's just iconic, and I would hope that he plays it, because I'm going to be going nuts. That's for sure.
I think he's like obligated to play that song.
Yeah, it'd be nuts if he didn't, but we'll see. I mean, they've got such a deep discography, from Montrose to songs like Rare, the whole Human highlight reel. But yeah, Something's Weird. There's so many amazing songs that I'm sure he'll be doing cool acoustic renditions of. So we're playing in South Florida and Central Florida next week. It's going to be really, really exciting. There's some other artists playing as well that anybody in the area, like I said about the previous show that I'm playing tomorrow, those shows with Sick Enough are going to be really, really exciting, and we're hoping to pack the places out pretty good. So that it remains to be seen, but it's going to be an awesome experience for someone like me, no matter what happens.
I kind of want to touch upon that Man Overboard show that you saw at the Talent Farm, because I think I went to that show, and I think it was in the Talent Farm. Jared, what do you think that the cap at the Talent Farm was? Like 75 to 100 kids maybe could fit in there?
I would say first of all, it's hard to say because I don't think it was like a very legit licensed venue. So what we're talking about is totally speculative. I am sure they've packed excuse me. I'm sure they've packed 150 people into that place for some of the bigger shows. Just like that, there's no way it was less than 120, 130, and honestly, 150 we were back to the gills in it for those shows.
Yeah.
Those touring packages that would come through, whether it was, I think that was called it like the Suppy Tour, the Suppy World Tour, the Suppy Nation Tour, and it was the Story So Far, Man Overboard. Tonight Alive, excuse me. Tonight Alive.
And Citizen was on that one opening the tour.
Yeah, exactly. It was a stacked lineup. And tours like that, or whenever like Title Fight would come through, the Wonder Years came through one time, Balance and Composure. Those are the kinds of shows, Law Dispute, that packed the place out to capacity and probably beyond capacity. But those are the best kind of shows.
I'm a strong supporter of small rooms. Like small rooms packed out is
of course
chef's kiss. Like that is
the
best.
Dude. I remember one time I don't want to get off on a tangent here about the Talent Farm, but I remember one time when I was in high school, which is pretty much the extent of my time with the Talent Farm. I think it closed down in 2014, which is when I graduated high school, or maybe 2015. But
yeah, I think so.
I remember one time, 24 hours ahead of time, they announced that New Found Glory was going to be playing a surprise show at the Talent Farm. It literally wasn't even 24 hours. It was like day of. It was nuts. And so many people pulled up to the Talent Farm, despite the fact that this was a last minute thing, that they actually had to play 2 sets back to back in order to just accommodate even half of the people that had showed up. A bunch of people got turned away from the door even after the second set because there just wasn't enough people to come in. And I didn't get there in time to get in for the first set. I mean, I got there hours before they started, but just because the line was so long, people were like out. I had to wait around and listen to the first set from outside. The second set, it was a school night, by the way. The second set started. I saw them play 2 or 3 songs. I think the last of which was All Downhill From Here. My dad was blowing up my phone. He get your fucking ass back home right now. Where are you? I think I borrowed my mom's car to go. So he like gets home from work. He's like, where's the car and stuff like that. I didn't have quite as much independence back then because obviously I was in high school, and it was a school night, and I was so scared of my dad. I knew I had to get home, at least start heading there soon. I lived in Miami at the time, so it was a long drive, but I just went super hard for All Downhill From Here. I'm crowd surfing. I'm doing stage dives. I'm getting my face in the mic for the chorus. And even though I only saw 3 songs, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life because everybody knows, New Found Glory is probably one of the most, they're probably the most iconic South Florida pop punk band of all time. Maybe even most iconic Florida pop punk band all time, depending on what your flavor is. And even just sing 2 or 3 songs in a room like that, once in a lifetime experience. I kind of wish that the rebellious side of me, convinced myself to just stay out for maybe another song or 2. But those are memories that I'm never gonna shake. Like it was such a special place, and that venue, even though it's not around anymore, it's resonated throughout the years to kind of influence the scene, even after its own lifespan. So that's just a little Talent Farm story. I know I got off track a little bit, but anytime Talent Farm comes up, I the memories just start flying.
That's me on this podcast. Anytime I have a band that played on like at the Talent Farm, I ask them about their experience, and I'm just like, how did you feel about it? Like we had Fireworks on, and I asked them about, when they got banned from Culture Room. And
that's hilarious. I don't know that story.
So it was a 4-year strong show, and we were all, how Culture Room was set up, how like Back Booth was, where it had that like Widow's Peak that you could climb up on.
Yeah, of course, like a second floor type of thing.
Yeah, we were all jumping off of there to stage dive, and the singer, I think it was the singer of Fireworks, told everybody to rush the stage. So everybody rushed the stage.
Oh, I think I have heard this story, maybe from you. Yeah, that's debaucherous. That's straight up nuts.
So what they did was, anytime there was a tour that came down to South Florida and Fireworks was on, Culture Room was like,
Not
you
here.
guys can play, but Fireworks is not playing. So Fireworks would always play the Talent Farm.
Wow.
So you would always have a matinee show of Fireworks at the Talent Farm, and then you would go see like Balancing Composure or Story So Far, or
Whoever they
one
were
of these
with,
other
yeah.
bands that were too big for the Talent Farm. It was such a cool experience.
Fireworks, one of my all-time biggest influences, especially vocally. You know, I think I can't think of many pop punk bands that, you know, whose singer inspires me much more than Fireworks. I feel like that's kind of my bag. Like a lot of my vocal melodies derive from, you know, listening to those amazing, oh God, like Arrows is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Bands like A Loss for Words also come to mind, especially with regards to, you know, the vocal influence for a band like Last Disaster. But
Lost for Words just teased a 25-year anniversary tour.
That is insane. I would lose my marbles every single last one to see them live. I mean, what an amazing band, especially for the time. They were like, that was like 2006, 2007, 2008, like when they were really popping off, and it was kind of a realm of pop punk that was sort of uncharted territory. You know, like it's not the most outside the box type of music, but it kind of started that early 2010s wave of poppy hooks and poppy influence, but still embracing the culture of punk and hardcore. And I kind of miss those days. You see a little bit more of it now, but I think shows tend to be, especially tour packages, tend to be a little more one-dimensional, which is unfortunate. And there's definitely exceptions to the rule, but I loved mixed genre stuff, whether it was a mixed genre local show, mixed genre tour package. It's just a little more interesting, I think, you know, by definition almost.
Amen. And I guess to speak on both the 25 anniversary tours that are popping up now and also mixed genre, we got Bayside doing a 25th anniversary tour, and they're bringing the freaking Sleeping out for part of it. So I am so jacked up, man. Like, not many people, probably in South Florida, got a chance to see the Sleeping live.
Right.
But holy crap, they are one of the best live bands I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's definitely like a band that I associate a lot of like Tumblr lore. Like a band that like I never experienced live, but I kind of did through like, same thing with like definitely different vibe for sure, but similarly for me, like Title Fight, like what made me fall in love with a band like Title Fight was seeing their clips on MySpace and like on Tumblr, like way back in the day, and seeing how nuts people would get for the live shows. It's part of the magic of this kind of music is that whereas with a lot of music circles, the product is music, like it's very much you know, a priority as far as the artist's product. But I think that for a lot of punk adjacent bands and artists, it's not that simple. Like I almost feel like for a lot of my favorite bands, it almost feels like the product is the live show, and that the CD or that the, whether it's physical media or even just on Spotify, the digital songs like are something sort of just to sample the live, the actual product, which is the live show. And it's just like sort of a philosophy of music type thing. Like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Are you using the recorded music to showcase the energy of your live show and the songs that people would hear there? Or is it the other way around? Do you do your shows to kind of showcase and demonstrate your actual product, which you consider being the music itself? So kind of a weird take, I guess, but I've always felt that way about punk adjacent genres, because that's really where people go see their craziest live shows is punk shows. Like it's almost like a pride thing. You want people to go nuts. You want people to be piling up and grabbing the mic from you. That's the best in my opinion. You know, it's my subjective flavor, like I said earlier.
Amen. Well, Jared, I'm super excited to just pick your brain the rest of the night on some of this new music that we got lined up, especially since some of these bands are brand new for you. That's like the best thing ever, is kind of introducing your homies to some new bands that, you know, these songs are new to me, but the bands are not. So super excited to see what you think of them. And we got a few North Carolina bands mixed in, some Florida bands mixed in, and everywhere in between. So should be a fun night of listening to some new music together.
Let's do it. I'm super excited. It seems like it'll be a nice mixed bag of stuff I've never heard before. And, you know, I know Loner is a band that I recently played with right around the new year. And that was kind of the first time I had the chance to hear their music. So I'm stoked to hear something new from them, as well as some other friends and acquaintances that I know dropped some music today, but I was a good boy. I didn't listen to any of it, even though I supported, like I said a little bit earlier before we got started. I definitely hit them with a like and a share, but I knew that I'd be coming on here tonight, so I didn't want to spoil the surprise for myself.
It's the worst rule Mikey ever put in place.
I want them to be authentic, man. Like
it will be. I have no exposure at all. And I'm kind of excited for that too. In your defense, Mikey, I kind of like the idea of the live reaction. So,
hell yeah! So, as I'm teeing up the first one, we have a band coming from Virginia Beach called Red Weather. The song is "Fake Friends," and Justin and Out of Time had the pleasure of playing with them when they did the Bar Down Break tour, and big hockey fans, and made perfect sense to get them to be the local support for the Virginia Beach date, and have been just following them since then. And they just released the video this week. The song's been out for a couple of weeks now, or maybe even a couple of months now, but the video just dropped today.
Nice.
And we'll have a chance to watch the video and live react, because I haven't had a chance to listen to the song yet either. So super excited for Fake Friends by Red Weather. Let me add it.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Yo, right off the bat, anyone remember that band Action?
Oh yeah, with the forward slashes.
Serious idol, or you might encounter something entirely more bizarre and unnerving. When you play Betrayal, you create your own house to explore. Once you've explored enough of the house, the second part of the game,
a good video too that has a theme,
a little bit of narrative.
The players made a
looks funny off the bat.
Typically, most
they're playing Betrayal on House on the Hill.
The Traitor.
Yo, this synth is cool sounding.
It's like very late 80s synth pop.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Like a carnival.
I'm trying to control my head pump so that I don't mess with the mic too much.
Track is totally polished.
I would put these guys in the comment I made last week of neon pop punk coming back.
Maybe it's a thing.
This is a really cool video. Great chord. I think this video is in like a science museum. I'm trying to like figure out where they shot this. It's so cool. It's so creative.
It's like one of those like arcades, but like it has like a house of mirrors.
Dude, you're talking over the gang vocals. Come on, bro. Maybe like a monster mini golf.
Halftime. Dude, yes, this is going to be regular rotation for sure. And I love that they kind of commit to this like color scheme sort of. You know, even when they start the video, when it says the name of the song, name of the band, that pink and that blue, and somehow being able to carry that over with the lighting from wherever they were shooting the video. It kind of gave a little bit of like a Miami, old school 80s Miami Vice flavor.
Yeah.
Which I love, obviously, as you know, being from down here. But that's sick. Love that chorus. That chorus is infectious.
Yeah, I was not expecting the synth kind of rock in the beginning and just set the tone for the rest of the song. And I absolutely love that. That was
love that. Yeah,
a solid video too. Like we used to have these Knights of Columbus carnivals that came through. Like it was called the Italian Feast, and there was always that fun house that you would like get lost in the mirror maze and everything. So
yeah, similar vibe for sure.
Similar vibe.
And the audio kind of matched up with the video, like the flavor of those like synths, sort of like how Justin said earlier. Very like 80s, and yeah. I kind of think that set the stage a little bit for maybe me getting a little bit of that Miami vibe for the rest of the video, because it was very complimentary of the audio.
Very 80s slasher themed for the music video, and I think it just like it just complemented it so well. Like it gave you that, like, I guess, you know, kids nowadays we'll say like that Stranger Things vibe,
right?
And especially like going into like that fun house style environment where you have like somebody like chasing you and everything else. Like it kind of just gave that full, I don't know, like 360 feel of being or watching a slasher film, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was the videography, like the pivoting, and then like the kind of flash, a little bit of that flashing effect. Super high energy. Yeah, I love it. And that part where it's kind of like that bridge with the snare. You know, I kind of lost it a little bit there. I think I smacked the microphone a couple of times. But with the gang vocals, that's like chef's kiss. And you made a comment earlier about like neon pop punk. I kind of feel like when I think of neon pop punk, I think of like very high pitched vocalist, you know, and like I almost associate the name neon pop punk with like silly, like cartoon, bright color merchandise, you know,
yeah.
maybe like a little bit, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, like grotesque almost, like,
yeah.
I'm struggling to think of an example, but I don't know if this is like kind of the type of band that I think of when I think of neon pop punk, but I do think they have a retro flavor that to me is, you know, that some of the best type of pop punk that is nice to see getting made again, you know?
No, exactly. And I think like this is like another like example of how like the Virginia area has really been just producing a lot of really good musicians. It just bands out of like the last few years. Funny enough, we have our homies in House and Home. I think they're playing down in South Florida
tonight. I was just going to say that, Justin. Yeah, I was just going to say that. They're playing tonight. I actually, I think it came together really late in the game. And a couple of my buddies that were helping to put together that show, particularly some of my buddies in this band called Fast Walker, who know House and Home through touring through their previous band, et cetera, et cetera. They reached out to me and to see if maybe Last Disaster could rip a quick set for it. But of course, unfortunately, we were rehearsing up until just, an hour or an hour and a half ago. So it just wasn't in the cards this time, but they're such a good band. I've had the opportunity to listen to them a few times, and they make such solid tunes. I would love to play a show with them one day, and it's too bad that it wasn't able to be today, but next time for sure.
Oh, there's always gonna be a next time with those boys. They're some of the best dudes I've ever met, and they're just so talented at what they do.
That's awesome.
I know I say this all the time, but if you don't know who House and Home is, go listen to them. They're gonna be your next favorite band.
Yeah. I've definitely, everything I've heard from them is so gnarly and so good. And it seems like they're not the only band from that neck of the woods that's making bangers right now. So Red Weather, definitely going to make it in on my my rotation from now on.
Now, I don't like to talk about people's age because, we're all old as hell these days. But I love the fact that, Red Weather doesn't look like spring chickens. Like, it looks like, they've been around the block a few times and they're still putting out these bangers, man. Like, I love that. Maybe they got families, real jobs and stuff, and they probably can't tour like they want to, but they're still doing it because they love this type of, and it's fun, and they love this type of music. So shout out to those homies for keeping the dream alive and releasing a sick song like that in a video. I loved it.
Right on. Amen.
Cool. So yeah, this next one is a band we are all familiar with. Loner played year 3 of Bar Down Breakfest down in Orlando. Played shows with Justin's old band Out of Time. You played a show with them with Sick and Off. So we're all familiar with Loner.
Yeah, I actually, just quick correction. I actually played a Last Disaster show with them.
At the Spot, right?
I don't think I played with them with Sick Enough, but it's entirely possible, I guess. But yeah, I know at this place called The Spot in Orlando, a Last Disaster actually opened up for Loner. And they have such good tunes and amazing stage presence, which, is not as common for local bands, I think, just because part of it is a confidence thing. Usually it's those experienced touring musicians that are really having fun on stage and kind of infecting the crowd with that. I saw that so much of that with Loner. I hope I'm not mistaking this for another band that played that night, but I'm pretty sure they played a cover of Fat Lip by Sum 41, and it went nuts. I was going crazy. I grabbed the mic for that, and I'm pretty sure it was them because the singer has some pretty iconic long hair.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful flow that just is unmistakable. So it was a great show, and they've got some tunes that I've been listening to since being able to play with them. So whatever they've dropped today will only add to that.
Amen. And one other side comment, they recorded with Dylan in Close Quarter Recordings, who did Out of Time's record. So
nice.
What's his name? Herzog? What's his last
name? Dylan Herzog.
Yeah,
he's in the process of finishing up his new studio that he moved over from his 2 bedrooms over to the garage. He's a carpenter too, so he's building everything out himself, and it's just been a really cool journey watching him do this.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. It's there's so many, it takes a village. There's so many parts of the music scene that, aren't right in front of your face because they're not necessarily bands or artists. A lot of times they are artists, but it's kind of, in the background. But, without people like that within the scene, it's hard to get the product that you want in people's ears. You know, it's accessible more than ever before now because of just technology stuff, but you still need great minds behind production and you know, helping you write great songs. So that's awesome. I love that.
Amen. So yeah, let me fire that up, and this is Loner Livin'. Right off the bat, seems like we got another video with some cool production.
Oh, the iconic turning up the volume on the amp.
I love that. That guitar tone is so tasty.
A little slower of a Loner song than I'm used to. Digging it.
I feel the earth crack beneath my feet. Shadows grow where light used to be. My chest a cage, every breath is a war. My demons whisper louder than before. I am not alive, just numb and hollow. Chasing down the ghost of my tomorrow. I'll keep swimming through.
No headstock for the music video is such a power move. I love that.
It's the Strandberg, man.
Those are pieces of art, bro.
But I'll stay quiet if you'll stay quiet too. Tell me where you want me.
Yeah, that snare sound is fat. I see someone just left a comment saying the same thing. That snare is so good. It's one of the trickiest things to get down under this video.
I can't pinpoint.
I will say Dylan
it
is
just
meticulous with drums.
That
sounds like
bass tone.
90s rock, but then like the scream is dope.
I'm buried 6 feet underground, crushed beneath the weight I bear. Maybe I'm not really here. Trapped in the echo.
Really interesting vocals, like in a great way. Such a cool blend of his cleans and his screams. I love it.
But I'll stay quiet if you'll stay quiet too. Tell me where you want me, and I'll try to follow. Let me tell
Giving me a lot of like old Citizen vibes.
More rules are gonna try to get you to follow. You just gotta keep living, man.
Is that Matthew McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey, man.
Life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on and on and on. On and on and on. Life goes on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on. On and on and on and on. On and on and on and on.
Definitely gives me a little bit of like Shed title fight vibes, you know?
All of these mixed in. It's hard to pinpoint just
But
one.
I'll stay quiet if you'll stay quiet too. Tell me where you want me, and I'll try to follow through. But I'll stay quiet if you'll stay quiet too. Tell me where you want me, and I'll try to follow through. I will go if you go too.
Hell yes.
I was gonna say there's a super interesting comment. Sal put the Jose Pasillas sounding snare. I don't think this podcast has ever had anybody mention Jose Pasillas. He's the drummer for Incubus,
Oh
but
shit.
that's pretty on point.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's sick though. Yeah, it's a fat snare for sure. It's like I said when we were watching the video. I think every band member and certainly every producer would agree with me when I say that, like, we all know the struggle of, you know, hours on hours producer just like trying to get the right snare sound, and oftentimes it's like, you know, you end up with a snare sound that, you know, leaves something to be desired. But that production, the whole song, you know, not just the snare, but the entire instrumentation and the vocals, everything sounded so clean and so crispy. They did a great job with that one. And again, like I said during the video, the combo of his like high screams, like his high like screaming type voice, and his like lower register, you know, smoother, clean vocals, it's a really, really nice mix. I like that a lot, and it's hard to pull off. You know, it's hard to pull off.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. Like like I said, there were times in the beginning of the song where I was like, this sounds like a 90s rock song. And then, like you said, sounds like Title Fight at parts, and then Movements at parts. It's like all of this mixed in. But yeah, I love Loner, man. They rock. And we're talking about the drums, but the drummer, when she played Bar Down Breakfast, had literally like the biggest drum kit ever, like an 80s.
It was all in one rack.
Yeah. I think she had the same one when we played with them, and it was like taking up so much of the stage in a cool way, like in a great way. And it's, you know, sometimes people set up a nice big kit and then they just stick to hi-hat, snare, bass drum, and maybe swap over to the ride sometimes. And it's just kind of leaves you wondering why they needed all that. But I remember seeing them and their drummer just absolutely worked that kit. It was so crazy. Especially when you consider the fact that like a lot of pop punk bands, and you know, I use this phrase a lot of punk adjacent bands, technique can be kind of secondary, and I'm guilty of that. You know, I'm not so I've never been much of an instrumentalist. You know, my main thing is singing. But it's so cool when you see a band that plays like relatively simple music, and I say that, you know, relative to genres like jazz and funk and like you know, even like technical metal, like some of the more sophisticated types of music, I guess, if you will. But it's cool seeing simpler bands and simple music be pulled off by amazing musicians. Like there's such a power to that, and there's such like you can almost, not even almost, like you can tell when you have simple music being delivered by people that are maybe not the greatest musicians, but they, you know, maybe they're passionate and they love the music and they make it work. But it hits a little different when it's being executed by somebody that knows the ins and outs of the song, and maybe it's lots of power chords or lots of 4/4 time that you wouldn't think, you know, provides the opportunity for a challenge. But the best musicians, I think, find that challenge and find ways to challenge themselves, even with the simplest, you know, genres of music. Like, you know, so many rock drummers that hold the same steady beat. You know, I think of a band like Less Than Jake, that the drumming is almost like comically simple. But then, you know, you see so many other ska bands, Streetlight Manifesto, they cover more ground than just ska, but their drummer is so active and so explorative, the kid. And I think that Loner has a drummer with, you know, she seems to have the same spirit of, you know, incorporating all these different sounds, these percussive sounds into the tune, instead of just kind of like either sticking to the basics or sort of self-gratifyingly, arbitrarily hitting different cymbals and doing all of these crazy fills. You know, you see that a lot too. Drummers or musicians that do a little bit too much. It seems like everybody in Loner is really, really locked in, and they all share this vision, which we all know it's tough to get 5 people on the same page when it comes to, you know, going towards that vision, especially when everybody's so talented and has so much to bring to the table and has so much momentum when they pull in a particular direction. So getting everybody to use that to pull in the same direction is super cool to see from especially a local band like Loner.
For all the drum nerds out there, Cody H, the drummer for Loner, just popped into the Instagram chat and said that thank you guys for the comments. Glad you like the tone. It's a cranked Supra with die-cast hoops. So for all the drummers out there, that's what they're playing on.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, I don't know shit about drums. All I know is that shit sounds fantastic, and I'm almost blushing a little bit just from like gassing them up so much. Like, and now you're telling me that they're in here, so it's like, oh wow, that's embarrassing. But I guess it would have been a lot worse if I was saying, oh man, this sounds terrible. But no, great song. Congratulations on the release, and I can't wait to add that one to my playlist because I'll definitely be showing you guys some love and probably getting that chorus stuck in my head for the next few days, if not weeks.
Amen. Well, let's bring this up to North Carolina. We got a band out of the Winston-Salem area / Charlotte area with Moving Boxes. Justin's old band, Out of Time, actually had a chance to play with them as well. Show was originally scheduled for the Den, which you've played before, and then had to unfortunately be shifted over to Hangar 1819. I say unfortunately because like we love the Den, but like Hangar 1819 is like a dope ass venue that like most national bands are hitting up these days. Like it's a huge room. So
we played 3 days after Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties played there.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, like it was crazy.
Yeah, it's got to be a relatively big venue.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure of seeing this band play like a full local bill at one of our bigger rooms here in Charlotte at Emos South End, and packed out the room, man. Like it was them, Seneca Burns, Blankstate, and one other artist, and 4 local bands filling one of the bigger rooms in Charlotte was just a beautiful thing to see, man. Like super cool that the scene came out, and I've been following this band since then, and might be a new band for you, Jared, so I'm super excited to see what you think because they rock.
I'm pumped. Moving Boxes, if you got such good things to say about them, then I know I'm in for a treat here.
They're sick.
They're sick. Yeah, let me load this up, and the song is Slap Ya Mama Seasoning.
Oh my God, what a name. I love that.
I hope it's sponsored.
Oh, it better be. It'll get there for sure.
Amen.
Oh, shit. I'm floored right now. This is amazing.
Is that a bass solo?
No, that's just the guitar ripping it, but the bass is like so thick.
The bass, there's some tasty bass line in here for sure.
Someone said they're listening to this while playing Sonic Generations.
What an incredibly unique world. Like,
This is the part where the crowd is clapping.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, dude. That's so. I'm obsessed with that. Literally, as I couldn't even wait to finish the song. I went on Instagram while that was happening and had to follow them, especially since it wasn't a visual. I could not let myself forget, so I had to just do it in the moment. That was amazing. I love their style. Their instrumentation is so sick. The fat bass tone, super solid, super steady bass riffs and bass grooves, but that guitar tone is like disgusting, like in the best way. Especially with those like cool like harmonic trills and you know crazy lead lines. Like it came together so well, and I feel like whereas with a lot of pop punk, and I don't even know if I would call that pop punk, definitely in the same world, in the same realm for sure, but a lot of you know that you know this type of music, including you know Last Disaster for an example, like the production is often like something that many people will quantify or describe as like a wall of sound, and that was kind of interesting because it's a little bit more like it was a little bit more layered in a way that was easy for your ears to navigate. Like the guitar is very crisp. It's very like, you know, unmistakable. And the bass is also there providing that perfect bridge between drums and guitar, you know, between rhythm and melody. But those are such fun, like the D beats in the beginning and that chorus. Crazy take about the vocals. I was listening to it and I was trying to think of what it reminded me of, and it sort of sounds like a combination between Anthony Green style melodies and like funky melodies, but sort of with the timbre and texture of the vocalist from the Cranberries.
Yeah.
You know, and with a lot of those like just like the vocal technique that she kind of swings into pitch. It's like super interesting in a way that I've never heard that being done in this type of music. But yeah, it also, like I said, it also weirdly reminded me of Anthony Green in a really, really cool way. So especially with regards to the melodies and like the notes that were being sung and hit and the way that vocal melody sort of navigates itself through the song. But yeah, amazing track. That's so good. I can't wait to familiarize myself with more of their music.
It's funny, JT from Moving Boxes said that, yeah, Sophie gets compared to the Cranberries all the time. I know, like when we played with them, like we were like, you guys remind me of Tiger's Jaw a lot. And kind
Tiger's
of like
Jaw,
how they're able to kind of like do the dual vocal ranges, but like if Tiger's Jaw was like on crack with like tiny moving parts with some of those guitar riffs.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I think the Anthony Green aspect kind of like maybe is influenced by the fact that the vocal sits on top of a very like the instrumental is not very simple. Like, and I think obviously with a band like any of Anthony Green's various different projects, whether it be Circa Survive or you know you name it, there's always an air. There's an air of sophistication about the music. It's not like simple pop punk music, and I kind of feel like the vocal melody in this song, the way that it sits on top of such an awesome and unique instrumental is like that. I guess that's where the Anthony Green vibes are coming from. But yeah, I think it's funny that they get compared to the Cranberries all the time because Anthony Green was actually the first vocalist to pop into my head. And then I was kind of searching for a minute, you know, who else does this sound like? And that's where I landed on the Cranberries. But hell yeah. Fuck yeah. That's super good. Super good. I can't wait to listen to more of their music.
And like when you think about this like Midwest emo resurgence that's going on right now, like this band just stands apart from all of them. Like it can fit in that world, but like it's so unique where it doesn't just sound like it's not just twinkly guitars, you know what I mean?
Like it's a lot of that. I hear a lot of that Midwest emo influence in the guitar, but that's like a shredder song. Like that song shreds. Everybody's shredding in that song in a way that, yeah, I guess a better way of saying it is I just feel like there's so much energy in that song, and I feel like the pit's going crazy and people are piling up and it's nuts. But you know, I don't know. I was gonna say it reminds me of bands like the energy, the energy of the band feels like a Knuckle Puck or a Youth Fountain, but you know, those are pop punk bands, and I don't think what I just heard is really in that same category. It's sort of it's in the category of Midwest emo, but there's a special energy to it that I think is a little bit more hype than you'll usually hear on your average Midwest emo track. So super amazing band. I'm floored by that. I love the creativity, and it's definitely going to be something that gets on my rotation on a regular basis. I can't wait to explore their other music. I know I keep saying that, but I need to hear more of this band for sure.
Mikey's going to roll his eyes, but Jared, would you consider it emo adjacent?
I think it's so funny. Like I've always been somebody that like I suck at identifying genres. Like I feel like sometimes when I'm talking to my buddies or like somebody that I just met at a show, I'll be telling them like, oh, I love like what you're doing here. I love that one part that's kind of like this type of genre. And then there or like even when I will use like a reference of a band, like, and it always sucks when the person's like, oh, like what? Like that's not really what this is. But at the same time, I feel like emo is a word that to me is more descriptive of the lyrics than anything. Like I think that's kind of like yes, there's like a sound to it, but I think anything can be emo. Like I think any genre in a way can be emo. It's just certain genres that like for some reason the community has decided to like name that word.
Gatekeep.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so much like country music that is emo as fuck, you know, but they don't know that word and they don't like that word. And so it's just like the culture of genres and how people kind of stick to what they know. But that, I mean, what we just heard is definitely emo adjacent. I think that's the short answer. Like, I think what we just heard is definitely has there's a lot of depth and emotion to like the vocals. And again, to me, that's where like the emo vibe comes in, is more like the vocals and the lyrics, the delivery. And I would definitely put that into that category, but whatever it was, I need more of it. And I'm stoked for that record that they're putting out. I think it was one of the members that said that they're going to be putting out a record soon this year, which is something for us all to be stoked on.
Amen. Well, we covered South Florida. We covered Charlotte. Now let's bring it back to my original hometown of Long Island, New York, with my buddy Dan's new solo project.
Dan the man!
Dan from Makeshift, if you are familiar with them from
Sure.
back in the day. But yeah, Dan does a lot of work with Emo Night Brooklyn and was out with like Yellow Card for a few of those dates for the Ocean Avenue tour. So Dan's the man, and this is his new project, EVEREND, and his new track, Hold On. So let me fire this bad boy up.
This one I've been so stoked for. Let's go.
Tell me that you haven't changed, baby, something's not the same. Save it for another day. Tell me all about your life, everything you got
Sugar Cold.
inside.
That's where I'm going.
Seems that something isn't right. I've been talking about it, thinking about it, everything I dream about it, don't know what I do without it, everything I know.
I'm getting some Cartel vibes here too.
Yeah.
I'm just going all American reject.
Yeah, this chorus is a game changer. This is like instant classic.
One of those songs you can hear on like TRL.
Dude, I can't stop thinking early 2000s, like something that would be on a teen movie.
Yes.
You said we'd be okay, alright. Swore to death you wouldn't lie. Now there's nothing left inside.
Nice. Legendary. He's so good, dude. I love hearing him sing, man. Like, he's an amazing songwriter, but the vocals are like, there's so much to him, you know, like almost has a little bit of that, you know, Green Day old school swagger to it. But the music is so like timeless. Like you said, it feels like I'm in an early 2000s, late 90s coming of age film when I'm listening to that. And I think that's like kind of what he's going for. I love Dan so much. He's so cool. He's so talented. And I would love to get the opportunity to play with EVEREND one day, for sure. So yeah, he's great. Awesome song. It's good to see him finally putting out, another track.
Justin coined this term last week. They got the Long Island sound.
The Long Island sound?
Because we were talking about how Anxious plays a lot with like the Long Island bands, but Anxious is from Connecticut. And between obviously Connecticut and Long Island is the Long Island sound. But like Anxious sounds like a lot of the bands that are coming off of Long Island right now. And
yeah.
Like EVEREND can clearly play with like Stand Still. Like they fit that bill perfectly. There's this band Jam Poetry would totally fit with them. Like there's this distinct Long Island sound right now, and
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Justin
I mean, you've seen that. You've seen it. It's not like the first time we've seen stuff like that, like Bay Area pop punk 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and then like. Music has always had those little pockets of I use this word a lot when talking about like different scenes, but like different scenes have cultures, you know, and the culture of a particular scene could be something as simple as, you know, a local restaurant that people will go to before or after a show, but it also goes as far as the musical influences that people kind of tap into, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. All the art you make as an artist is influenced by your subconscious, and your subconscious is obviously a projection of what you've been exposed to. So it manifests itself in a subversive way sometimes. That's not always intentional, but that's what makes it cool. Like that's what local music scenes are built on is culture, and you know the way that they find a way to identify with one another in a way that other people from somewhere else can't identify with, you know, or even like, you know, Jersey. A lot of bands were coming out of Jersey for a while, and they kind of had that sound. If you go way back decades, there's that Jersey rock sound from you know, probably all of our parents' era. Whether it's a Bruce Springsteen or
Bon Jovi's.
Yeah, exactly. So great band, EVEREND. I hope to see them doing a little bit more this year. because Dan is just too talented to not share what he's got with the world.
Amen. Well, yeah. Let's bring this back to the Charlotte, North Carolina scene. We got another killer band that's making moves in this area. I mentioned that 4-band bill that played Emos. Blankstate was on that bill. They're actually the feature on this song, and they're playing this. The artist is Rosary featuring Blankstate, and you know, being an older guy, almost approaching 40 at this point, trying to keep my ear to the ground of what's kind of cool in the Charlotte scene. You see Blankstate popping up a bunch, and now I'm seeing Rosary, who, truthfully, this is like a complete blind listen for me. So I'm super excited to check out, you know, another band from our scene.
Let's go, Rosary. I just want to echo that. Like, I love this. I love listening to music for the first time, especially with like buddies, because everybody always has something to say. They're exposed to a new piece of art, and oftentimes, especially how people consume music these days, most of the music I listen to, I'm chilling at home or in my car, and I have so much excitement and so many things that I want to say about the songs that I'm exposed to for the first time, especially when it's an artist that I'm being exposed to for the first time. And oftentimes we're sitting here with no one to talk to about it. So this has been such a blast and such a cool experience for me. I'm super stoked that you guys asked me to be a part of this tonight, and it's been a huge benefit to me already. I've already heard so many great songs by so many great artists, some of which I didn't know about before tonight. So let's keep the ball rolling, because I have a feeling that this one won't disappoint either.
Well, Rosary in the chat said that we can bully them all we want now.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll see. No holds barred.
All right, let's do it. Oh, it's like a turnover right there.
Yeah.
Ooh. I wasn't expecting this. This is awesome. Next big thing.
I love those vocals, dude. I love those gang vocals.
I'm hearing a little like Hot Mulligan, minus like, you know, like not the screamy part of Hot Mulligan.
Woo. Oh, that's a cool little effect with the drums on its own.
The journey of this song is ridiculous. Like, I love how it, like, the climax, and then it brings you right back down.
Yeah, dynamic.
Dude,
Dynamics is
these
everything.
vocals are so good. Sounds a little like Jared from Mag Park at times.
Yeah, Mag Park. I could definitely do that. I love like that synth keyboard noise that's happening during this chorus.
Yeah, it's like a droning
Very
synth in the background.
No, this is so good.
my god, those vocals are unreal, dude. What the fuck?
And they're just like so cool. Like way cooler than I am.
Oh yeah.
This reminds me of like Onomonoguchi from like the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack.
Ooh, cool ending. The aesthetic of this video is like 10 out of 10. Like this video is also a great demonstration as to like how editing is everything. Like in terms of like the video aspect, obviously, like there's so much attention to detail. Whoever edited that video absolutely knocked it out of the park. You know, everything between like the quick cut sequences to the, you know, kind of old school film camera look for some of the parts, and the wardrobe is awesome. I love that classic look of like the suits and kind of playing into this dark vibe, this dark visual aesthetic. Super good. And like I said, I love that like synth wave thing happening during the chorus, because it kind of reminded me of some artists that I was really into, like when I was in middle school and high school, were partially because it was just a product of the time, again, like 2006, 2007, 2008. Like a lot of those artists that I'd stumble across on Tumblr, and a lot of like that bedroom pop vibe, but this is a little more punky than that, you know? So it's right up my alley personally. I love that. And that chorus is going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the night for sure.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that. Like this band reminds me of, you know, one of those bands that I would have, you know, absolutely had like fallen in love with on like the Tumblr era. Like
I just saw the comment. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just saw the comment from, I guess, one of the singers in the band. I just saw it as it went away. Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's so cool. I'm also so flattered that like these, like I for some reason I wasn't expecting people from these bands to be like tuned in, even though it's kind of obvious that of course they would be. But I'm glad I didn't know that beforehand, because then I would have maybe been a little bit more on my toes. But yeah, great job editing that video. So good. I can't even like navigate an Excel sheet. So like. It's incredible to me that you guys were able to make that song, let alone put an awesome visual, you know, alongside with it. So great job, knocked it out of the park.
That just once again goes to show how underrated the North Carolina music scene is right now. Like,
yeah,
you know, we've only been doing this for what, 3 weeks, Justin, now, and we've been just blown
every
away.
week we've had a North Carolina band.
And just been blown away.
That's a great sign. Like it's obviously a super healthy place to be a musician right now, and you know, hopefully other surrounding areas kind of notice that, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like when you notice other scenes and other areas pumping out great talent, you want your area to match that energy, and I think that it's a good thing when these pockets of the country and pockets of the world are suddenly riding this wave, because surrounding areas can ride the wave too, you know, in a indirect way. You know, they notice that. Everybody notices that, and everybody wants to be in a music scene that is talked about, right? It's obvious. It's good for that scene. So props to these bands and everybody making these awesome songs possible, because you're right, Mikey. It's a blessing to, you know, have a North Carolina artist every single time you do one of these, because what are the odds? You know, what are the odds?
Amen. Yeah, and talking about the scene, like obviously it'd be hard to talk about the Charlotte scene without talking about the Milestone and Blankstate and Rosary, who we just listened to, are both playing on February 5th at the Milestone. I saw Buck, because we're friends on Facebook, sharing about that show, already saying that tickets are moving really fast, so I wouldn't be surprised if that show sells out on pre-sales. So get your tickets
Excellent.
if you're in the Charlotte area. Nothing better than a sold-out Milestone show. Like, it is.
They deserve it. That venue has done so much for not just North Carolina musicians, but for musicians coming through the area from all over the place. Like, big, small. There's not too many venues that have been around as long as the Milestone has, especially venues of that size. It's hard to have a small to mid-sized venue persevere through the trial of time. It can be a really, really tough industry, and the fact that their doors are still open obviously mean that they care a lot, that they love hosting local music, but it also speaks to how healthy the scene is there and how strong the roots of that music scene are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm not even sure if this is a Welcome to the Family show. Let me see real quick. Yep, yeah. Welcome to the Family presents. Like, they got two of the best promoters in the area putting on most of the shows at the Milestone. They work extremely hard, and like, it's a thankless job. So like,
Yep.
Shout out to Jake and Dylan from Welcome to the Family doing God's work.
Hell yeah, I would love to get Last Disaster to come through North Carolina again, whether it's the Den or the Milestone. There's so many great places. You can't go wrong. So,
dude, just say the word, and I will get a.
We'll make something happen. We haven't been out of Florida since 2023, so that's too long. I definitely don't like that, and I want to make sure that we might not have gotten outside of the state last year, but we're gonna have to find a way to do it this year for sure, and I don't think it'll be too tough.
Hell yeah, I would love that. That for sure.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, let me fire up the next track. I'm trying to remember. It was Knuckle Puck, right?
Oh, yeah, the new Knuckle Puck banger just dropped today.
And I had no idea they were on Pure Noise Records. Like, when I pulled this up, I was like, wait, they were on Pure Noise. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they were on Rise for a few years, and then they moved over.
I feel like just in terms of the roster, I feel like they fit in a little bit more on Pure Noise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and dude, I was like so obsessed with the early Knuckle Puck stuff, because like that was kind of when I discovered the newer wave of pop punk, like with State Champs, them, Real Friends.
Sure.
And then just kind of went in a different direction. And to see like 10 years later, they're still releasing music, and now they're on Pure Noise. I'm super excited to see what this is.
They've worn a lot of hats. Like they've worn a lot of hats in terms of like not only stylistically, but also stature within the music scene. I remember 10 years ago thinking and having conversations, even more than 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, having conversations about how, have you heard this band Knuckle Puck? They're the best up and coming band. Like, everybody kind of knew that they were the next it band. And they were like, they really like carried the torch of pop punk, of a lot of bands that were sort of, I don't want to say on the way out, because, bands like Man Overboard, The Story So Far, The Wonder Years, at least those last two bands, The Story So Far and The Wonder Years, are still making music that's amazing now, and they're still packing venues now. But I think they were kind of coming out of their prime around that time. If you're somebody like me who considers their older stuff their prime, certainly their pop punk prime, the Upside, Suburbia, stuff like that.
Yep.
Knuckle Puck kind of came in at the perfect time to be that unapologetically pop punk band, at a time when a lot of those bands were sort of straying away from being unapologetically pop punk and maybe leaning more into just exploring their emo side and slowing down the tempo a little bit. So Knuckle Puck kind of came in at the perfect time, but then they've also progressed a lot. They've also developed sound a lot over the years, and a band that's been a band for 10 years has a right to do that. It's just a matter of whether or not they pull it off, and Knuckle Puck has pulled it off every single time. So I'm going to be totally honest, I didn't even know that they released a new song today. So I'm super curious to hear how their latest project is going.
It is interesting too that you said like, oh, like I remember having conversations, 10, 12 years ago. I can guarantee you that 75% of those conversations were in the Capstan living room.
Yeah, Capstan living room, or at the talent farm, or anonymous guitars, or back booth. But yeah, many a conversation regarding music and all kinds of stuff. The Capstan house, to be a fly on the wall at the Capstan house, or if only there was sort of a secret surveillance camera that captured everything that went on in the living room. As I say that, I realize that probably wouldn't be such flattering footage. But like, just to have those documented memories like available, I would pay anything for that. Like that's another great staple of the Orlando scene that is no more, unfortunately. But if you were lucky enough to experience the Capstan house, that what kind of conversations and fun shows and silly antics got had at the Capstan show.
I just remembered Anthony and Boz just always saying like Knuckle Puck and Real Friends are like the next big thing. Like you just got to keep an eye on them. You got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to see how both of those bands grew up together.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously like in the same area.
Boz's old band, whose name is escaping me right now, which I'm shocked by because they've got some great music. But Boz's old band, I'm pretty sure played shows that like Knuckle Puck opened up for.
Yeah.
So nuts to think about. But especially when you consider the fact that Capstan is now way bigger than Boz's old band, right? Obviously, it goes without saying, but I can't believe the name is escaping me. They had some great songs on Bandcamp. But Boz is such a knowledgeable like wizard of the Midwest pop punk scene. Like he really has so much insight for bands that we now know as these huge powerhouse bands like Knuckle Puck. And it's cool being able to talk to somebody about, what was this band like before they were big? What were their old bands like, et cetera, et cetera. Like we all think of the bands we listen to as kind of having always had that stature and having always been that talented musician. But we all know at the end of the day that that's not the case. We're all living life for the first time. And we look up to these artists only to kind of come to the slow but obvious realization. These are just people. And it's so interesting knowing the journey that some of those people have gone on to get to where they're at now. And Knuckle Puck has definitely been on an awesome journey over the past decade plus.
And I know that we've kind of steered away from the hockey and music version of Bar Down Breakdown, but that is always like one of those kind of, when I first started this podcast, like bucket list kind of guests to have on here. But then as I did some like conversations behind the scenes and whatnot, it turns out that there's not really diehard hockey fans in the band, at least from what I've heard.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, man, how do you get a name like Knuckle Puck and not just be like the biggest puckheads? Like
that's nuts. Yeah, that's nuts. Like I guess the mics, obviously. And I think that's a movie that a lot of pop punk kids just like grew up on, regardless of whether or not they were hockey fans. And if you really think about it, Mighty Ducks is kind of like a crappy hockey movie. It's a great movie, but like not the best, most authentic representation of hockey by any means.
No, it's just an underdog story.
Yeah, it is. But like you see like the V formation and stuff, and like what's his name?
Like that would never
in
work.
The middle of the shootout, switching from right-handed to like left-handed, and you're like, what is happening?
And
here?
then it's the goal.
Or like you see him on the bench cheering for his own goal because they just didn't have enough kids on the bench. Like, I love Mighty Ducks, but I watched it recently for the first time in years, and was like, they couldn't figure out that the kid should stay right-handed for the entire penalty shot, like for the entire sequence. Like, they didn't realize that you could see that kid's own number on the bench while also, expecting us to believe that he's on the ice shooting the goal. So
Disney magic,
the
Jared.
movie, it wasn't lacking a budget, But anyways, I'm being a hater. It's a great band name, and it's one of those band names that makes you say to yourself, especially as a hockey fan, damn it, I wish I thought of that name.
Oh, yeah.
Sal in the comments goes, Gordon Bombay's insane youth hockey scoring stats.
yeah, exactly. Like, and you expect me to believe that this is where we're at, like, with this is where his life led him.
But the funny joke is the band Free Throw, huge hockey fans.
Yeah, that is funny.
But basketball, like, term, right?
Of course.
Knuckle Puck, huge basketball fans, hockey name.
Interesting.
The joke is like, yo, why don't you guys just switch names?
Switch band names.
Switch band
I
names.
wonder what, I guess, are Knuckle Puck, they're from Chicago or from Detroit?
Chicago.
They're probably huge Bulls fans. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's cool. Right. Yeah, I mean, I like both. Those are my two favorite sports, hockey and basketball, by far. And the other sports I really don't even touch much. Obviously, I'm a hockey fan first and foremost, but basketball is a cool sport too. And it's so weird that they both have 82 games a season. They both could probably benefit from having less, but that'll never happen.
A lot of them share the same arenas. It's like almost the same.
And Chicago, you know what? Now that I think about it, Chicago really is. I mean, they're obviously their band name is Knuckle Puck. You would think that they're hockey fans, but Chicago is definitely more of a basketball town. They have the Blackhawks, but the Blackhawks were like. The Blackhawks have always been shitty until like the last 20 years or so, and they've been one of the best teams of the 21st century. But it's kind of like a low-key miracle that they didn't get relocated over the course of the first 70 years of their existence.
Oh, no, they're not. That's a team that will never get relocated.
Not anymore. But there was a time long ago. There was a time 30, 40 years ago where they were not putting asses in the seats and they were not getting to the playoffs, and they were consistently one of the lowest selling, lowest attendance buildings. But that's definitely changed now. And I think now, because they're that fixture of like the original six, and the identity of the original six teams is so solidified in like NHL lore that I agree with you. I don't think it's going anywhere now. I mean, 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years is like, that's just about as amazing as it gets in the salary cap era. So I always disliked their teams. Like, I always just disliked the players on the Hawks. Like, I never liked Patrick Kane that much. Taves is kind of boring, although I think he comes back healthy. He's definitely good, but Duncan Key, I don't know. It's like, for some reason, I never liked seeing them do well. But you can't deny excellence when it's right in front of your face. 3 cups in 6 years is no joke.
Amen. All right, let's fire up this Knuckle Puck song. I feel like we've hyped up the band enough.
I don't think you need to hype up Knuckle Puck.
Yeah, I guess not. But yeah. It's kind of crazy to think I have like 10 years of not listening to them to now see what they're like.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Big rock flavor so far.
Yeah.
Amazing. Another great snare now.
That's a very 4 year strong.
I feel like this is just a mature version of Knuckle Puck. Like, this is what they should sound like 10 years later.
It's an interesting like visual. I don't know if it's just like something that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something. Like I'm trying to see if there's an image or something. Like, what were those? Was it like Highlights magazine from our childhood had stuff like that, where you have to find things in pictures?
Oh yeah. Little hidden codes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually just a movie Rorschach.
Yeah, this does kind of give me like new song flavor.
Yeah.
But then when they go back to this chorus, it's like classic pop.
Yeah, like when he does the highs, like it sounds like Knuckle Puck.
Sick, dude. Is their backup vocalist still the guy that did Home Safe?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's still. Well, he was the bass player.
Right.
But I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he's still in the band.
They did great. I love the duality of their two voices on for Knuckle Puck. Super good. They really did kind of grow into their tenure. You know, like Mikey made the point before, like they sound like Knuckle Puck should sound after 12 years of being a band. And that's, you know, obviously people are always complaining about how bands evolve, and everybody has something to say about, oh, this band's old stuff is better. I don't know why they changed this. I don't know that they changed that. This definitely sounds distinctly different from the old school, fast-paced, high-energy Knuckle Puck tracks that, you know, come to mind when I think of my favorite songs by them from back in the day. This is definitely different, but it still sounds like Knuckle Puck. Like it still feels like Knuckle Puck, and I think that's important. They did a good job with that.
So Ryan's still in Home Safe, and he's in Knuckle Puck. But have you guys heard his other side project, Rationale?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. That's interesting. Is it
I
like
thought that was Kenny from the starting line?
No. So Rationale is Dan from what was the Real Friends. So it's Dan Lambden, Joe from Knuckle Puck, and then Ryan from Knuckle Puck, and it's almost like a 3-piece. I would definitely go say, like, if they would have put a new song out, I would have obviously put them on this show because they're one of the bands that I've been obsessed with over the last few years. But yeah, they're a phenomenal band. And it's almost like, it's kind of like just a super group in and of itself.
Yeah.
But if you haven't listened to Rationale, and if you like Dan Lambden's vocals and you miss hearing them, definitely go check Rationale out.
You know, it's funny. I like Girlfriend's new singer a lot.
I do. I like Cody more.
Yeah, I do too. He's the guy for. I actually think I mentioned Youth Fountain a little earlier, and I think that was the band he was originally in before he left to join Real Friends. But I like Dan's vocals. I just, for some reason, never grasped on to Real Friends before. Now that they've got this new vocalist, Cody, I've kind of listened to them a little bit more than I ever have. So I'd be interested to dive into Real Friends' older stuff and kind of re-explore it, because I've had so many people tell me that that I would really dig the music. I think honestly, I sort of fell victim to, like, you know, the memes and stuff like that of Real Friends, the bony knees, the sleepy eyes and bony knees. That was like some of my first impressions of the band, and I kind of remember rolling my eyes at that and kind of hearing the squealiness of his voice and being like, this is lame. But I've also heard little tidbits here and there through the internet and through buddies queuing it up in the car or something like that, and I'd be like, oh wait, what band is this? It sounds great. And it's Real Friends. So sure enough, there's obviously a cognitive dissonance between my initial impression of the band and later experiences hearing them down the road. So I got to circle back, and I definitely might as well hit Rationale too if I'm exploring his old music with Real Friends.
Absolutely.
So Real Friends reminds, like, their career path reminds me a lot of the Spill Canvas, right? Like, their first stuff started super sad, super emo, like you said, like the bony knees and all of that. But then Real Friends released Composure, which was more of like just a polished record. It kind of shifted away from those real like sad emo lyrics, and
Yeah,
I think you would like the Composure version of Real Friends.
interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna explore that release a little bit more. Like I said earlier, I know that there's music out there by Real Friends that I would love to hear and to appreciate, because I've heard the clips online. I've had a quick little listen in the car when a friend of mine puts on the music. I just don't know enough about the band to know where to start. So that's a good place for me to start.
Amen. Well, guys, we did it. That was a lot of fun. We listened to 6 brand new tracks that came out today. And honestly, like, every single song we listened to was a banger after a banger after a banger. Like,
I was just gonna say exactly that, banger after banger after banger. There wasn't one dull moment, and that gives me a lot to be excited about. 2025 is going to be a good year for music. I'm starting to notice, tours being announced that I'm super excited about. It kind of feels like the music scene nationwide is galvanized and empowered and doing cool stuff all around. So if this is going to be something you guys do regularly and consistently throughout the year, it goes without saying you guys are going to end up with some amazing new favorite artists, and I'll be sure to tag along to it, because this has been a lot of fun. And I now know that if I plug into Bar Down Breakdown whenever you guys do some new Music Friday content, it's an awesome opportunity for me to hear some great new tunes that I wouldn't otherwise get exposed to.
Yeah, and now I don't have to text Justin and Tom on Friday and be like, "Yo, do you check this out now?" And now I can just save it for this, and we can listen together and chime.
Dude, I had so much fun. I always try to make it a point to do this, but I hope it never loses weight. But I am so thankful for you guys. You guys have such an awesome platform. All the bands that you featured today, they were all awesome, and they all did their part. But it's so cool that you guys are doing your part to shine a little bit of love on them and give them the spotlight that they deserve, because there's so many amazing artists in this world of pop punk and emo, and not enough of them get the spotlight that they deserve. I can speak for myself, outside of what I do or don't deserve. I think every artist deserves some sort of platform. And I know that when Last Disaster kind of struggled to find a platform, we dropped our music right when COVID started, literally within a week of us dropping our initial EP, COVID hit. And Bar Down Breakdown was one of the few platforms that, you guys approached me and were like, "Hey, listen, we heard your music. We love it. We don't really care that you don't have a big following. Get on the podcast and we'll do what we can to support you." And you guys did exactly that. It's something that I'll never take for granted. So I hope that the other bands that you show some love to don't take it for granted either. And I also hope to be back sooner than later, because every time I join you guys for something like this, it is such a fun time.
Amen.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate the kind words. But yeah, like, at the end of the day, we have ears, right? We don't have to just look at how many monthly streams you're getting. Like, if it's good music, it's good music, and we don't care about anything else. And a lot of the bands that we featured tonight have like less than 1,000 monthly streams, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
And
I can definitely relate to that. And you're right. Like, it's so true, and it's something that artists always get caught up in. No matter how big or small they are, Last Disaster's a small band. It's not something that I'm doing full time, but I catch myself feeling insecure about low monthly listeners and feeling like, I could and should be doing more to expose my music to other people, and I just don't know how. But when there's people like you guys in the world that kind of remind me, hey, that doesn't really matter. Like what really matters is the song that you made, and let's talk about it. Let's listen to it. So that is the best part about music, especially local music, is being able to appreciate bands regardless of their size and regardless of their stature. So it's important for myself to be reminded of that. And I hope that any band that you guys feature that might not be experiencing the biggest commercial success, of any musician out there, can remind themselves too that, they were fortunate enough to be featured on your show because they're good, and they deserve it. So that goes a long way. I'm sure bands express that to you guys all the time, but I want to take this moment while hopefully some stragglers are still watching, to let them know from my mouth to your ears, like this is such a cool platform for so many reasons, but usually because of the opportunity you give smaller artists to be heard, by people that want to hear them. They just don't know it yet.
Amen. Yeah.
You should talk more hockey though on here. Hockey, it's in the name, Bar Down Breakdown. And I always come with some hockey drip for sure. I'm not even, I got so many jerseys that I got to show them off a little bit more often. I don't usually get the chance to wear Panther stuff, or I got a nice Gordie Howe Red Wings white jersey. So I gotta get a more of a chance to throw those on and to flex those.
Well, you give us new Last Disaster music, and we'll get you back on, and we'll do this again.
Yeah, and I'll get you. I'll get on. I'll get on the pre-order for the Tony D'Angelo jersey. Send it your way.
No,
yeah, I don't want that either. I'm not spending money on that.
You got a good friend in Tony Murphy who's doing such good work that you can just go into the studio anytime. And
you're right. Tony's the man. Shout out Overthinker.
Oh my God.
Yes.
You don't got to. Yes. We know.
One of the most underrated bands in Orlando.
And just the best. He's just the best guy. He really is.
He literally is the best guy.
His entrepreneurial spirit is unmatched. The dude prints shirts. He's an amazing producer. He's got the home studio. He even the pedicab, hustle that he does to, work at local events and stuff like that. He's just got such an amazing entrepreneurial spirit, and
he's mixing shows.
Yeah, exactly. He's the sound guy for one of the most iconic venues in Orlando. Like he really does it all, and he inspires me to challenge myself, because I think that's what Tony loves to do. He loves to challenge himself, and he somehow always comes out on top, which kind of annoys me, because I know that if I tried to do half the stuff that he does on a regular basis and that he seems to do with such ease, I would end up flat on my face. But I guess that's why it's good to have pretty much unlimited access to go over his crib and take advantage of his many different skill sets, because Lord knows I do it.
Amen, dude. Well, Jared, we appreciate you hanging, and everyone go check out Last Disaster. Go check out Sick Enough. Awesome project.
And Siesta 305.
And Siesta,
yeah. My little hardcore side project, Siesta, just dropped a new track as well. It's actually a revised version of one of the songs on our demo, the EP that we put out a couple years ago. It's called Con Man. I think it's very topical. This probably isn't the time or the place to get into what inspired the song, but it's called Con Man. It's very angsty and very angry, but I think it's a appropriate time to kind of share that with the world, because I know that a lot of people feel frustrated with where we're at in this country and in society, people that feel like they're being dismissed and marginalized, and it's not in their imaginations. It's happening. And
it's happening.
And I hope that anybody watching this and anybody that, feels like maybe they're being, dismissed and pushed to the side, knows that like that's not gonna happen on the dime and on the watch of like, local music. I think that it's so important for local music to be a place where people can feel comfortable hanging and being themselves. That's what it's all about, is being your most authentic self. And I think that, again, I don't want to get too into it, but with this, current, administration and with the status quo of our, socio-political climate, it's really difficult for certain people to unapologetically be themselves without feeling like they're in danger. So, I know you two both enough to know that you're both, so receptive and, welcoming and, passionate about making sure that people feel comfortable and safe in this kind of environment, because as much as local music is thriving across the country and, this pop punk, metal, hardcore world is thriving, it's not so big that we can just shrug off the idea of making people feel comfortable. Like we need people to feel comfortable, and we need people to feel like they can be themselves so that we can continue to be a music scene 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I mean, that's definitely far from the number one priority. The number one priority is making sure that, fellow human beings are being accounted for, and being validated by their neighbors and by their families. But it takes a village, and the local music scene, wherever local is to you or to me or to whoever, is one of the most, magical places to feel empowered to be yourself. So that's a little bit about my Con Man Siesta plug. Go listen to it if you're into heavy music. It's a little bit more lo-fi, a little bit more old school punky vibes to it, with some of the metal hardcore influence that this area has so much to offer. But
so much history in.
Yeah, South Florida hardcore is the best. Like it's got such a deep and profound history and role in the lore of South Florida music. But anyways, thank you guys so much. It's been an awesome week for music. Obviously, it's been an awesome day for music, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the year has in store, because obviously we're off to a really, really strong start. I would love to come back for next time or for some time down the road, because like I said, I'm getting something out of this. I'm getting some awesome new tunes. I'm getting some cool feedback from my bros. So I love you guys so much. Thanks for having me as always. And don't get it twisted just because of the jersey. Canadians forever. Go Habs. You know how it is.
Peace, Jared. We appreciate
Later, guys.
Later, fellas. Good night. Have a good weekend.
Yep. See ya.
Peace out.